Hello, my name's Mike and this is a video about personal independence payment, daily living activity number 1, preparing food. This part of the assessment is about the help that you would need most days to prepare and cook a one-person, one-course meal from fresh ingredients, and to do it safely in a reasonable time whenever you need to in the day, without too much pain, discomfort or other bad effects, and doing it to an acceptable standard that is good enough. My goodness, what a lot of stuff there was in that long sentence, so I'm going to pick out some parts of it. The first thing, it's about the help that you would need. Help you would need, help you do need? Well, it may be that you do make a cooked one-person meal most days, in which case you can tell them about your daily life. But I suspect that most people don't do that. And so, for most of us, this test is purely hypothetical. It's not about the help that you actually have in day-to-day life, or the help you need in day-to-day life. It's the help you would need if you were trying to make a cooked, one-person meal from fresh ingredients. Most days. Yes, indeed. Just like every single part of PIP, the assessment looks at the help that you would need most days. If people tell you that PIP's about a bad day, they don't know what they're talking about. Prepare and cook. Preparing food is making it ready to cook or eat, and cooking food is applying heat. But PIP will only count cooking above waist height. I think it might say at or above waist height. So if, like me, you have a low oven, they won't count any difficulties that you experience with that. A reasonable time. Like all parts of the PIP assessment, the reasonable time rule is built in. The assessment is, can you make your cooked one-person meal from fresh ingredients taking no more than twice as long as a person who doesn't have your condition would take? So, what are they after? What do we need to tell the decision maker or tribunal about? What sources of help do they need to know about? Well, I've got a list. Here it is. Every possible PIP question. I think it's every possible PIP question. It's every one that I can think of. And so I'm going to share with you one that I've worked on recently with a lady who has quite a significant physical health difficulty and some attached mental health difficulties around depression and anxiety. So, I've got my list. I find the problem with the PIP form is it doesn't ask any questions. Perhaps I've gone to the other extreme. Anyway, first question, it's always the first question, is about AIDS. What physical things do you use to cook that you would not need if you did not have your health condition or disability? Why do you use these things? So, that's the first thing we talked about, Miriam and I. She doesn't cook. We actually put that right in at the start. Nowadays I never cook. It's just too difficult. So my husband Lemmy does it all. And then, when we answered this question about AIDS, we were making it clear that it's hypothetical. She doesn't do it. It's how it would be if she tried. If I tried to cook a meal from scratch, I'd always need to use aids. For example, I'd have to have a stool in the kitchen so I could sit down. I would need lightweight pans because the weakness in my wrists means that I can't lift things. I'd need lever taps because I can't grip the tap heads. Because of this problem with grip, I'd need fat-handled utensils like peelers and knives. Well, I think the Department for Work and Pensions are going to quibble about that. They will say, lever taps, lightweight pans, yeah, loads of people use those, they're not aids. Well, here's the legal definition of an aid. I always describe it as a thing that you would not need if you did not have your health condition. The legal definition is that an aid is a device that provides, improves or replaces an impaired physical or mental function. So, in Miriam's case, well, the lever taps do improve or replace the impaired wrist function. The lightweight pans similarly would be a response to her lack of strength. And so Yeah, I can sort of see the Department for Work and Pensions perspective that if everyone uses it, it doesn't count. But I think if it gets to a tribunal and we need to have an argument about it, which we won't, we could get them to accept that in her case those things count as aids because they improve or replace an impaired physical function. With aids, you only need to show that you need one aid. So even if they didn't accept the lightweight pans, even if they didn't accept the lever taps, there's no argument about the stool. Miriam can't stand up and still for more than a few seconds at a time. She would need a stool if she tried to cook. So therefore, she needs aids. 2 points. Here's the next question in relation to preparing food. Microwaves. To cook from fresh, would you need to use a microwave when you can't use a hob? If so, explain why. This is another 2-point question. I think it's designed to cover situations where someone might burn themselves using a hob but could safely use a microwave, for example. In Miriam's case, we didn't put anything in it because she hasn't got a microwave. They don't have a microwave, I should say. Prompting. That's the next question. While you're cooking, or indeed before you cook, would you usually need someone to prompt you, remind you, encourage you, or explain things to you? And Miriam, she had things to say about prompting, encouragement, and reminding. Trying to cook, even a simple meal, just feels overwhelming. So I would not do it unless Lemmy gave me a lot of encouragement. If I tried to cook, he'd have to prompt me and remind me as I was doing it. I get brain fog, so I lose my way in multi-stage tasks like cooking. So, the legal test is about prompting, reminding, encouragement, explanation. And Miriam's explained that she needs encouragement, prompting and reminding. 2 points. We can't add them to the previous 2 points. It was 2 points for aids, 2 points for prompting, reminding, encouraging, explaining. So far, we've only got 2 points. On we go with the next question. Physical help. While you're cooking, would you usually need another person to physically help? If so, what help and why would you need it? And this is what Miriam said. If I tried to cook, my weak wrists and poor grip mean that I would always need physical help with things like moving a half-full kettle or holding things while I chop and peel them. Physical help, that's 4 points. So far we've had 2 for aids, 2 for prompting, 4 for needing physical help. She doesn't score 8, she scores 4 for the highest scoring descriptor that we've ticked so far. On we go with the next question. Safety. Would you need someone with you all the time that you are preparing and cooking food to keep you safe? If so, why? Miriam said this. I'm hypersensitive to heat and I get vertigo where I feel dizzy and disoriented with no warning. Both of these things mean that if I tried to cook, Lemmy would always have to stay with me all the time I was doing it to keep me safe. That's another 4.1. Final question. Is it true that even if you've got the aids, you've got the prompting, reminding, encouraging, explaining, you've got the physical help, you've got someone with you all the time to keep you safe, is it true that you still can't cook safely? That you still can't cook in a reasonable time? That you still can't cook whenever you need to? That you still can't cook at all? And if that's the case, 8 points. And this is what Miriam said. Even if I had all the help mentioned above, making a meal from scratch would take me much longer than it used to. I'd need to take frequent rests, so it might take a couple of hours to do what used to take me 30 minutes. Even if Lemmy was with me, it wouldn't keep me safe. It would just mean that he was around to help me once I'd already had the accident or injury. 8 points. So, by using my every possible PIP question checklist, Miriam and I were able to identify every relevant fact that we needed to communicate to the decision maker or tribunal. You can download the questionnaire and hopefully it will help you do the same thing with your claim or with your service user's claim. I'm sorry, I'm not able to help with individual claims, but if your organisation needs some training, get in touch.